Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer here, and welcome to another playthrough game. I have something new for you today. This is Lasting Tales, and I apologize. I've got it on my iPad because I do not have a print version of this. This was a PDF of the demo rules for those of us who backed Lasting Tales. I think you may be able to get these on DriveThruRPG. I could be wrong. But I'm going to actually be playing through this game today. It is a fantasy skirmish solo miniatures game. That's a lot. It reminds me obviously of Frostgrave, although the setting is slightly different. It's not about snow-covered cities and wizards running in to grab treasure. This is about a full-blown party. Now, this is a one person up to, I think, 6. Well, no, it says up to 5 on the cover. Each player is intended to run a hero. Now, I've got 4 heroes out here, and this is a typical party. I've got a wizard, a fighter, a rogue, and a thief, and a cleric. It has, elements of traditional fantasy RPG, but it is a miniatures game. It does involve dice, terrain, that kind of thing. The rules are somewhat limited right now because this is a Kickstarter, and as I understand it from the updates, the rules have been added on and modified, and there very well could be some changes to the game once it actually comes out. But I'm going to be running the demo rules today as written, or I'm going to try to follow them as close as I can. Because this is a completely new game to me, I'm going to have to move back and forth in the rule book to reference things that I'm not necessarily familiar with. And so that could slow the video down quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is, this video is going to be heavily edited. I will go back and review each recorded segment and cut out those times when I'm referencing the rules book because it's going to slow the video down and I don't want to hold you up. What I really want to do, what my purpose is with this, is to introduce you, if you're looking for a new solo or multiplayer skirmish miniatures tabletop game, maybe this is up your alley. I will say that after reading the initial rules, I'm pretty impressed. It's a really nice game. The rules are sufficiently different from anything else that I've played. Now, I'm not saying that it's not familiar. It may not be similar to something you've played, but I play Frostgrave, Rangers of Shadowdeep, Stargrave, Core Space, all these. I play a lot of solo games that involve miniatures and dice, and I will say there are quite a few elements in this rulebook that are new to me. I've not seen them before, so I think it's a really nice set of rules. It's definitely got that storytelling aspect where you're basically going to be running a party and leveling up and finding treasure, and there is a campaign. Now, I don't have the campaign. I only have the first scenario, which I'm going to be running, and I don't even know if this is the first scenario. This is just the demo scenario that it comes with. Based on what I'm reading in the Kickstarter, this game is going to come with a full story that you'll be able to run your characters through and level them up, and it'll tell a story over time. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to get started. You can see I'm playing on a 2x2 area. The rules actually call for a 3x3. I had already set it up before I read that part, so I'm going to stick with this. It doesn't matter. I mean, I tend to prefer smaller play areas anyway. But the rules do call for 4 structures in the 4 corners. The dice here, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those will be used for rolling where random creatures will spawn. And then these red cubes that you see here, these are going to be clues that I can investigate. That I don't necessarily have to, but when you encounter one, you will roll on a random table to see if it's a trap or a chest or some other thing. So let's get started. I'm going to take a pause real quick and get my tabletop set up, and then we'll get going. Okay, the first thing I need to do, I've already set up the basic play area. I need to set up the adversaries. Now, depending on how many heroes you bring, there is a table here that tells you how many wandering monsters or nemesis or adversary, they call them adversaries in the game, how many of those are going to be present. I'm playing a 4-hero game, and so it tells me I need 5 giant rats and 5 skeleton warriors. Now, I don't have any giant rats, but I have these giant spiders. So I'm going to substitute those for the giant rats. They come together as a group of 5. So basically what you do is you roll a d6, and I guess I'll have to roll this one, and it tells you where they're going to start. They're going to start at number 4, which is over here. So I'm going to place them in this corner. Now they start there, but they don't necessarily move together as a group. You don't have to do that. It's all about line of sight and things like that. The second group is a group of skeleton warriors, also 5 of those. And those are going to start at 4. Sure. Let's just pile them all up over here. All right. So I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 5, yeah. I have 5 skeleton warriors that I'm going to put over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the weapons don't necessarily match up to what they're brandishing. What's interesting about this game is you get these stat blocks for your creatures, which is really, I like it. The stat block is very interesting. Every creature has stat block, XP. It has special abilities that you'll roll on and things like that. So the weapon, the miniature doesn't actually matter. Here, the skeleton is going to do a certain amount of damage if it strikes, and it doesn't matter what the weapon they're holding in their hand is. So weapon, and it doesn't matter what kind of armor they're wearing. All of that is wrapped up in the stat sheet already. You just need a miniature to represent those creatures. My people must start within, I believe, 6 inches of the center, and they've sort of moved, I guess. I put the center right about there, and I've got all 4 there, and honestly, I don't know what... It does give you an objective. I need to go find these clues. What I've encountered is an abandoned village, or is it? And as the game progresses, things will be revealed that will tell the story of what has happened here. So let's go ahead and get started. There are 4 phases to the game. There is initiative, then there's the hero phase, the event phase, which is when the bad guys go and events can happen. You roll random. And then there is the cleanup or the recovery phase. I will be skipping the initiative phase because I'm playing all 4 characters. But if I had 3 friends playing, we would all roll initiative to see who goes first, second, third, and fourth. But all the heroes will move during the hero phase. So for the rest of the game, I will be ignoring initiative phase, and we will go hero, event, which is special events and enemies, and then recovery. All right, it is my turn. I'll start. On the hero phase, each hero gets 3 things they can do. They get a move, an attack, and an action. And you can do those in any order. It says a model does not have to perform all 3 or even any of them, but it must activate. I'm going to do this. The goal here is to get to these red cubes and investigate them to see what's going on in this little town. All of my enemies are over here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to meet them head on. And what I'm going to do now is each character has a move rating of how far they can move, or a speed, excuse me. My rogue has a speed of 6, wizard 6, cleric 6, and the dwarf fighter, who is unfortunately not a dwarf miniature, but he has a move of 5. So that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I want to keep these guys together. I do not want to split the party here. So I'm going to go ahead and have my wizard move his 6. Actually, they can sprint, which means you get and it uses up that extra action they do. I'm going to do that. So he gets a basic 6, and then he rolls 2d3, which means he's going to add 2 to 6 to the movement speed. So I'll roll these 2 and divide them in half and add them. So these are each a d3. So that is a 3 and a 2, which is a 5. 5 plus 6 is 11. So he is going to head to the stairs. That's 3. And then he's going to go 8. Up the stairs is 4. So that's 7, 8. 3, 7, 8. And then he's got 3 more. He will move up to here next to this clue, but he cannot do anything about it since he did his move and his action. Now, he can do an attack this turn. He has some spells, but unfortunately, all of his spells are close I have 2 cantrips, which require no power. He has a certain amount of power called, where was it? It was called, I think it's just called power. Yeah, power 3. And so when he casts a spell, that goes down. And unless there's a special ability or a spell or something that adds, once he's out of power, he's out of power. So I want to be careful not to use Magic Dart too much, which has a range of 12 inches, which unfortunately is out of range. So the wizard has gone. I'm going to go ahead and move the rogue. The rogue can also move 6. So, and he moves a D6 bonus if he sprints. So I'll do that. So he can also move 11. So let's see. It's 4 to the stairs. And then he'll move 7 up. So it's 4 to the top, right there, actually right there. And then he can move an additional 3. I'm going to move him right here. He has no ranged weapons, and unfortunately, none of my characters have ranged weapons. I'm really hoping that now they give you 4 in the demo rules. They give you 4 hero character sheets. They don't give you the rules to roll up your own character. That will be in the final rule book when the product is released. So I'm using what they gave right now, and unfortunately my choice is they have, I think, 6 characters you can choose from, and I didn't choose any with ranged weapons. His action, he could fight, but he doesn't have anything that can go that distance. So let's go to the cleric, who is move 6 and then a d6. So she can move 10. I'm going to have her go 5 to here, and then 5 up the stairs, which would put her at the top of the stairs. And the cleric has a healing word, only within a friendly within 3 inches, and no long-range weapons. And then finally, I want my fighter to sort of guard these guys. So he can move, he's a dwarf, he can only move 5. Now his action, there are a set number of actions that I can do. You can aid, hide, interact, reload, search, swap, take a breath, and taunt. And so I'm going to move him 5 inches, which will put him right here. And he's going to stay right there. None of the actions appeal to me right now. None of my characters need to be healed or aided. He doesn't really need to hide or interact with anything. Doesn't need to reload. Search. It says he may search a treasure chest as an action. Now the treasure chests, they show up when I investigate these clues. It's possible that when I roll randomly to see what the clue is, that it will resolve into a chest. But right now I haven't searched these clues yet. So that is the end of my turn. Now it goes to the event phase. Now here's how the event phase works. First, you check for an unexpected event at the very beginning. It says you roll a d6, and on a 1, an unexpected event occurs. I rolled a 2, so there's no unexpected event. Then it says the adversary actions. Every adversary will activate following simple activation rules. There is a very simple little spreadsheet, sort of not really a spreadsheet, but it's just a list of steps that help you determine what a creature will do. Luckily, I've only got 2 groups. If one does something, the other one's going to do it too. They do not have, they do have line of sight to the enemy. So they will move in that direction. And it says it will move towards the closest model it can see. Well, this one can see my fighter. The skeleton here has a movement, or a speed, excuse me, I keep calling it movement, of 6, and a d6 if it sprints. So I would assume that skeleton would sprint. Since it can't fight me, 6 would get it right about here. So if he sprints, he'll still have his standard action. All adversaries have a type, either melee or range, representing their type of attack. Okay, so he's going to move. He's going to sprint, which is a d6. So 4 plus 6 is 10. That's definitely enough for him to get in base contact with my fighter. All right, now here is the interesting part for combat. So you take the attacker's melee rating. The skeleton's melee is 2. And you take the target's melee, and my fighter's melee is 4. And there's this little chart here It's pretty. The formula for determining it is pretty easy. It looks complicated, but believe me, it's not. It says that basically, if the target's melee is at least double the attacker's, which it is, the test is hard. There are 3 types of tests in this game. There's easy, medium or standard, and hard. Easy is 8, medium is 10, hard is 12. So he is going to do, if I look on here and I correspond the 2 to the 4, he's performing a hard attack, which is a 12 or higher. You add the creature's melee rating, which is 2 to the roll. I rolled a 4 plus 2 is 6, so he misses. And he already did his second action, which creatures don't really get that second action, but they do get the ability to sprint. So these guys are all going to gang up. Unfortunately, they're all within 10, if they can make 10. So let's do this one. 6 plus 3 is 9. That's definitely within range. And there is a bonus if they are ganging up. I don't know if that applies to creatures, but I think it does. Let me double check. When attacking a surrounded model in melee, the attacker treats the melee test as simple. Ooh. All right, so I won't treat it as such. I guess 4 would be surrounded because there will always be one way to exit. All right, so once again, we're going to do the melee. We're going to add 2 to this, and he needs a 12 or higher. I rolled a 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, so that skeleton also misses. And then let's see what this skeleton does. He's probably the only other one that can get in range. We'll add 6 plus 1 is 7. He does not have the ability to get in range. He will get right here. Now these other 2 will follow. They will run 6 plus 5 is 11. So he'll go 6. Well, I guess 6. Now he can do it. Yeah, he's gonna. My guy is almost surrounded. My poor fighter. 12 or higher with a plus 2 mod. I rolled an 8 plus 2 is 10, so that one missed. And then this last skeleton is a 4 plus 6, which is 10. 5 and 5 will put him sort of behind this group. My poor fighter is getting ganged up on. Now let's do the rats. The rats have a speed of 6 and a d6. Man, they can move, although they are giant rats. So, and I did find some rat miniatures, by the way, so I swapped them out for the spiders. So I'm going to roll this for 1 rat and treat them all that way. So 6 plus 6 is 12, of course. 12 inches would put them, they see this, my rogues. I'm going to move them all over here. They're all scurrying over here to try to attack my poor rogue. And that is the end of the event round. Then you go into what's called the recovery round. Fallen heroes who go down to 0 health. You can spend what's called a fate point. Every character has a number of fate points. Those are not, they don't recharge. When you use them, you lose them. I don't have to do that right now. You do end of round effects. So if there was any poisoned or any kind of unusual treatment that a character or an enemy gave you, you would have to do that. Regenerating power. I was wrong. Spellcasters do regenerate power at a rate of 1 point per turn, and then you check victory conditions to see if you won, which I'm not even close to that. All right, so now we go back to, normally we would go to initiative phase, but now we're going to go back to the hero phase. All right, I'm going to see what my fighter can do before my spellcasters start doing their stuff. On his turn, he is not going to move. If he moves, they would get an opportunity attack. So I'm going to go left to right. He'll attack this skeleton. Again, we go back to the chart. Now, my melee is 4. The target's is 2, and that says it's a simple. So it's an 8 or higher on 2d6, and I add my melee, which is plus 4. So he's got a pretty good chance of hitting. I rolled an 8. Plus 4 is 12, so he definitely hit. Now the way damage works is each hero and each creature has what's called a resistance, and they also have armor. You determine the damage, and then you subtract off the resistance, and that gives you what damage goes through. So let's see. On a successful attack roll, you must roll the damage specified for the weapon. Okay, my fighter is using a hand weapon, which is a D6. And the total, add the model's strength bonus. I forgot to do that. His strength is 3. So the damage is going to be 9. And then you take off the resistance. Every model has a resistance. This is how much damage the model can absorb. And it's based on their defense. Skeletons have a defense of 2. So the resistance mod is 0, so 9 damage. The skeleton only has 3 health, so he goes away. Now, he does not die. In this game, there is a spawn or a reserve place that you would put creatures that are killed out, and there's always a chance they can respawn, not the one you killed, but it's like just a flow of enemies. So you set him over here, and we'll come to that momentarily. All right, now... he fought. What I'm going to do is I am going to run. I'm going to try and pull these guys away. And now they're going to get an attack because I'm running. Let me double check. Surrounded, yeah. I'm not treating it as surrounded, but I do know, I do remember it said that if you try to to disengage, they get an attack. I'll have to look up this again. This is me not being super familiar with the rules, but I do seem to recall that these two will get an attack on me if I run. And again, I want to run because I want them to follow me. So he's going to run, and his speed is 5, and I'm going to have. He already fought, so he can't add that special action. So all he can do is move 5 away, and I'm going to try to pull them away. But when they do, there's 2 that are going to get a surprise attack on him. So again, they get +2, and they got to roll a 12. So they got to roll a 10 or higher here. 1 missed, and the second one missed. So they're pretty low level, so that kind of makes sense. Cleric has Healing Word, which I don't need yet. He does have a weapon, but no ranged weapon, so he really can't do much. He could run down there and attack, which I think is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move, and he can move 6, so that's well within his range. And then he will attack. He has a one-handed weapon. His melee is 3 versus he's melee 3. Target's melee is 2. That is a normal, which is a 10 or higher. And you add the melee. I haven't been rolling the critical die, which hasn't mattered yet because I haven't rolled a 2 or a 12. If you roll 2 1s, that's a critical fail or a failure, and if you roll 2 6s, that's a success. And then you roll what's called a critical die, which I'm using this blue one. If this shows up as 1, you have this like critical failure, and if it's a 6, you get a critical success. And this is the only thing that's a little wonky to me, but maybe I'll adjust to it. So I've been meaning to roll that with it, but it hasn't mattered because I haven't rolled any criticals. It says make an attack. This is a melee skill test. So yeah, you do add your melee. So I need to roll a 10, and his melee is 3, so I need to roll a 7 or higher on the 2 reds. And I rolled a 6, so he did not hit. I'm not really keeping these characters, so let me show you. He has a fate point. He has 4, actually. No, he has 5. You can spend a fate point to re-roll a die. Re-roll at any time when a hero fails a test, and this was a melee test, including an attack or casting roll. They may spend 1 fate to re-roll the dice. All the dice are re-rolled, including critical. All right, so I need a 7 or higher, and I got it this time. 7, and I rolled a 1, but that doesn't matter because this was not a critical failure or what have you. Did hit. So I'm going down to 4 fate points, but it hits. Now to do the damage, it's a D6, and I add my strength if I remember right. I think that's what it said. Let me double check. Again, trying to learn new rules is always kind of crazy. Roll the damage, add strength bonus. All right, strength bonus is 0 for the cleric. So I wouldn't have I added 3 to that, which made it 6, but he still would have died. So it was 6 damage versus 9. That didn't sound right. 9 sounded a bit high. All right, so I roll just the D6. There is no damage modifier. I rolled a 3. His resistance is 0, So 3 is enough to kill the skeleton who has a health of 3. So this one is over here. Now let's go back real quick to the recovery phase, because what I didn't do... Oh, no, it's in the event phase that you do the spawn. So we haven't reached that point yet. The spawn phase is part of the event phase. All right, next I'm going to use my wizard. He is going to fire... says it was within 6... You know what? The wizard, we need to start dealing with this. The wizard is going to do an interact with the with that clue. So the way this works is, let me go to my thing here. It says you may search a clue token by interacting using the INT, the intelligence characteristic. So you basically you have to roll it's a normal test. Otherwise it would say it's easy or hard. So it's a 10. I'm going to add my int, which is for the intelligence, which is 4 for the wizard. If I pass, I get to keep the clue. If I fail, I think it says if the int is passed, the token is removed and placed in the player's possession. If I don't pass, it stays. But whether it passes or fails, it still reveals itself. So I need to roll a 10, and I had a 4. I got to roll a two of these. I roll a 6 or higher. I rolled a 5, so he failed. So he does not get the clue, but I still roll a d6 to figure out what it is. It is a 2. It is the dead return. Place a zombie in contact with the hero. So now the wizard has a zombie there. Thankfully, he used his free action. Now he can use his attack to attack this zombie. The zombie is health 3, resistance of 1. So I'll subtract 1 from any damage, and its melee is 2. And spells are sort of just treated the same, except you got to read them for what they are. My wizard has a magic dart. It takes 1 power, range of 12. It automatically casts. I do damage of D3 plus 1, and I can boost it by adding additional power points, and each one of those adds another D3 of damage, up to a maximum of 3 D3 plus 1. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to use 2 power, so his power goes down to 1, because I'm using 1 power to cast and another to boost it. So the initial D3 plus 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's enough to kill him, but not really, because remember, we subtract off 1 point for his defense, or his, his resistance. So this should kill him. This is just a D3. So round down, it's 2. So I did a total of 5 damage minus the 1 resistance. Does 4 damage. He only has 3 health. So the zombie is gone. So the wizard didn't really get to do much that turn other than reveal the clue. Now, one thing I'm not certain of, since I have triggered the clue, but I didn't get to keep it, it says when all clue tokens are collected, and I have to collect 6, which there are 6 on here. This game could go a little while. If there are 4 to 5 heroes, the source of the village's misfortune is discovered, and it moves to what's called part 2 of the combat. So this is not a little 20-minute game, at least not right now with me unfamiliar with the rules. It might go a little quicker once I become more familiar with the mechanics. All right, so now what I need to figure out is I interacted with the clue, but I don't get to keep it. So I need to interact with it again, but what it doesn't tell me is, do I roll on the result again? Because that kind of doesn't make sense. I've already triggered it, because what could happen is I could find a chest, or a survivor, a civilian, or a trap, but I've already sort of like checked it out. So I don't know. If the end test is passed, the token is removed and placed in the player's possession. However, whether or not the still roll a d6. Okay, so I don't know. That's an answer that I'm going to have to hit up with the game's creators. It makes sense that I shouldn't have to roll it again. So all I'm going to do is try to gather that clue on my next turn. And then finally, I've got the rogue, who I want the rogue to draw away these rats. So the rats have a movement of 6 plus. Is it just no? 6 plus d6. So he's got to get away quite a ways away from them, so they don't attack him. This is 1 inch, so I think the rules state he can jump down without that. So if he moves, the rogue can move 6 plus a d6. So let's see, he's going to sprint. He's going to only go 7. So it may not be worth it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, let's see what the rats do. The rats are... that's the end of my turn. All my characters have gone, so now it's their turn. So let's see. The rats will move. 6 plus 3 is 9. I believe that is enough to get them in contact. It certainly is. So they will move and follow. I don't think all of them will get to my... I'll say 3 of them got to my rogue, and then the other 2 will attack next. So let's go ahead and resolve that. Let's get to the chart. My melee for my rogue is 3, and the melee for the rats is 2. 2 and 3 is a normal roll, so they need to roll a 10 or higher, and there's 3 of them attacking. Now the rats have an interesting special ability, which it says go for the throat. You roll this. Now normally you don't roll the critical die with creatures, but here it does say you will roll it with the model. If it scores a mighty blow, which is where you would roll, I forget how this works, but you remove the model. So it's like it gets an extra bit of damage, but then you don't have to deal with it anymore. All right, so let's see what his damage is. Or he's got to first roll a 10 or higher. 6 plus 3 is 9, so he failed. Rat number 2 rolled a 7, that failed. And rat number 3 rolled a 6, so that failed as well. So those 3 rats attacked but did not do anything. 2 skeletons are very close to the cleric, so they will attack. One of them is going to go move to the fighter. So let's resolve the fighter first. It was a hard, and he hits +2, so I need to roll a 10 or higher on this. I rolled a 4, so that skeleton missed. Now the cleric was melee 3, right? 3. And the skeletons were 2, so it was normal for them. So they got to roll a 10, and they don't get a bonus, I don't believe. They get their 2. Yeah, they do. They get their 2. So let's do 1 needs to roll an 8 or higher, and 7 did not do it, and the other one 8 or higher. 11 will do it. So he hit. His weapon is a d6. I rolled a 5. My cleric's resistance is 1, so 4 points got through. His health is 7, so he's down to 3. Wow, that hurt. And this is all assuming that I'm running this game correctly. I don't know that. I mean, I may need to reread the rules a few times, but I think that's right. So the cleric may need to do some healing pretty soon here. That is the 2 skeletons. Now we do spawn. This is the interesting one. Okay, so during the spawn, when an adversary of the minion type, the rats are minion and the skeletons are minion, is removed from play, immediately place it near the game board in what we call the spawn pool. So I haven't killed any rats, but I have killed skeletons. The spawn pool is divided into 2 sections, the graveyard and the reserve. Right now they're in the graveyard. So what will happen is graveyard will move to the reserve, and then reserve will move to the field. So unless a special rule specifies, minions are removed or placed in the graveyard. Now, at the end of each event phase, it's the end of the event phase, roll a d6 for each minion. So I'm going to roll 2. For each roll that equals or beats its spawn, that model returns to play following the spawn rules. All right, so they're not in the reserve pool. They're in the graveyard. For roll a d6 for each minion. For each roll that equals or beats its spawn value, they move into the reserve. Their spawn value is 5 or 6. So a 5 or 6 will put one in. Neither one of these moves out of the graveyard into the reserve. And then again, on the reserve, you do the same thing. If there's anything in reserve at the end of event, you roll the d6, and there's a chance they'll come back in. All right, that was pretty cool. So let's keep going. I'm going to roll the int, a test. It was normal, 10 plus 4. So I need to roll a 6 or higher. I rolled a 11. So I'm going to take this and put it here. I've got one of the clues. And now he's going to move here. and attack, which he's within range. Oh, he got a power point back. Let me add that in. So he went back up to 2 power points, and he's going to cast Magic Dart. He might as well try and take out a rat. He's down to 2. So I'm gonna do. You have to. I think you have to choose if you're boosting before you roll the dice. I could be wrong, but that makes sense. It's like you got to decide you're putting extra power in. So I'm gonna roll 2 d3s and add 1. So that 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And the rats have a resistance of 0. So I did kill 1, but I spent 2, and they go in the graveyard. But now I'm down to 0 power, although he'll go back up to 1 at the end of the round. So he's done. The cleric is going to fight one of these skeletons. It is melee 3 versus melee 2, which is normal, which is 10. And I add his melee, which is 3. So I got to roll a 7 or higher on this skeleton. I rolled a 4, so he missed. And you know what? I'm gonna burn another fate point. Why? Because I can. I don't care about this, but I want to try to get into a habit of using those if I need them. I keep forgetting to roll the critical die too. That's a 7. So I rolled a 7 to hit. Now let's roll the damage, which is strength plus the d6. I rolled a 2 plus 3 is 5. His resistance on the skeleton is 0, so that's enough to kill a skeleton. And fighter. Fighter is melee 4 versus melee 2. Is that right? I think I did this wrong last time. He's got an easy, simple 8 plus. Or maybe I did do that one right. This is his second time fighting. Yeah. So melee 4 versus 2 is a simple. So 8 or higher, and I add my melee, which is 4. So I just got to roll a 4 or higher to hit him, and I failed it. So I'm going to burn a fate point. He's got 4, so now he's got 3. Come on, roll it. And 7 is enough to do it. 7 hits. Oh no, it doesn't. Simple is 8. Oh yeah, 7 plus his melee, which is 4, which is 11. Now I roll the damage, which is d6 plus 3. Which is 5. 5 minus 1 is his resistance of skeleton is 0. So all that got through, so the skeleton goes away. That is the end of the character's turn. Now we do the special event. Check for unexpected. The first player rolls a d6. On a 1, there's an unexpected event. I rolled a 4. No unexpected event. The skeleton will attack. And skeleton is 2 versus 3, which is a 10. And his, I always forget, this melee is 2, so he's got to roll an 8 or higher. And he rolled a 7, so he did not get it. And the rats. There are now 4 rats, so this one will move and circle him. So now he is surrounded. So that means it becomes simple for all 4 of them, which is 8 or higher. And the rats have a melee of 2, so they got to roll 6 or higher. So we'll start at 12 o'clock. That one hits. Second one, that one misses. Did I say an 8? 6 or higher? Yeah. So that one misses. Third one misses. Fourth one hits. So 2 hit. So let's do the first one. First one, a rat does 1d3. 1d3, and yeah, I didn't roll any criticals, so I don't get to roll the critical dice for that. A d3. So 2 points, and my rogue has a defense of, I don't think he has, he has a resistance of 1. So 2 points got through, -1, so he lost a point of health. He is down to 5. And then the second rat did a d3, which is 3 points, minus the 1, which is 2. So now he's down to 3 health. Those rats are really hurting. All right, skeleton went. Rats went. That's the end of that. Now we do what's called the spawn phase. All I have is graveyard. We will do the skeletons first. A 5 or 6 will bring one out of the graveyard and into reserve. A 5 means 1 skeleton moves into the reserve. Let's do the rat. The rat has a spawn of Rat has a spawn of 5+ also. And I haven't been tracking my XP. I killed 4 skeletons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And rats, I've killed 1. Alright. And I don't know if the XP is just for the character or for the group, and then you divide it. I'll have to figure that out. So, but since this doesn't really matter, I'll find out. But it doesn't matter for the sake of this game because I'm not going to be playing this again until the actual game comes out. All right, so let's roll for the rat. You roll a d6, and on a 5 or higher, it does not come back. It does not come out. If it did, then you roll to see which of these spawn points it comes back to. You know what, fighter? You need to get moving here. So he's going to move 5. I'm going to send him that way to go here, and then he'll roll an additional 2. He'll be up here. Oop, somewhere. Cleric's going to fight. If I remember right, it was a normal, so it was a 10, and his melee is 3, so he needs a 7 or higher. One of the dice. He needs a 7 or higher. And I got a 6 plus 3 is 9. Damage is 3. Damage is a d6 plus 3 plus he only did 2 damage. So 2 on a so he did 2. So he's still got 1 hit point left. That stinks. They're still battling it out. So it didn't do enough to kill him because his resistance is 0, but he has 3 health. So 2 got through. All right, let's go to the wizard. Wizard will cast a spell. He's got 1 point, so he'll just cast a d3 plus 1 on... I keep grabbing the wrong die. d3 plus 1 on one of the rats. Oh, yeah, it automatically. So that was a 3 plus 1 is 4. The rat only has a resistance of 0, I believe. Resistance of 0. Oops, just dropped the skeleton. And the arm broke, and the body broke. That's not good. I'm going to have to glue those together. So he kills another rat. That was good. And now he will do an interact with this, which is 10. His intellect is 4, so he needs to roll a 6 or higher. I rolled a 5. Might as well use this fate point. He's got 5. I'm going to use 1. That did it. All right, so he gets the cube, and now let's see what's in the cube, or what the surprise is. There's a chart. Here it is. Roll a d6. It's a 6, which is jackpot. The hero has found a treasure. Place a chest within 3 inches of the target. So there's a target there. And not in contact with any hero. All right. Within 3 inches of the target scenery piece and not in contact with hero. The treasure rolls now apply. So the treasure, I'm not even going to... I can approach it and search it and get a treasure, and again, it doesn't really matter. You can get like potions and magic weapons and things like that, gold, I think, and stuff like that. There's all kinds of stuff. All right, so let's go to the rogue. The rogue's melee is 3 versus 2, which was a normal, which was 10. The rogue adds 3, so a 7 or higher. Rolled an 8, so that killed 1. Well, not yet. Let's see what the damage is. The damage is 6 plus no strength bonus, so it's enough to kill another rat. So again, I'm not tracking the XP, but you would normally track how many you kill of each creature. I think probably you have to track per character, like know how many rats the rogue killed versus how many the wizard killed. XP, I don't believe the rules talk about XP in these demo rules. I don't think they talk about XP, but I'm sure that comes into it's in the real rules, but these demo rules don't really talk about XP as I understand it. No, they don't. So I don't know. I'm not going to, unless I email them and find out or ask, I'm not going to know. So I think that's about it. There is a second part to this. So what happens is after I collect all the clues, it goes dark. Like this darkness comes over, and this necromancer appears next to a gravestone, and the necromancer can summon zombies, and you have to go and do, I think, a certain amount of damage to the gravestone. I can't remember how it works, but yeah. Oh, To consecrate the grave, a hero may interact with it by taking a will test. So every character has a will. Like the cleric has 4, the rogue has 3. So you do a will test. Again, you roll, 2d6, and it says the cursed grave has a number of health points equal to starting number of heroes plus 1. So it would have 5. If you pass the will test, you do d3 damage to the grave. There's no other way to harm the grave. And then it says if you fail the will test, the model either loses a fate point or suffers d3 damage and ignores armor. So this continues until you destroy the grave, and then I think when the grave is destroyed, the game ends. Let's see. When the cursed grave is discovered, ending the game. When the cursed grave is consecrated, you have won. When the last clue token is spent at the end of a round, you have lost. Oh, that's right. You put a certain number of clue tokens on the grave, or 6, I guess, and 1 comes off each turn. So you have a time limit on destroying the grave. You have to get it destroyed pretty quickly. So yeah, that's kind of neat. I do like that part, that there's 2 parts to the scenario. I don't know if all of the scenarios are going to be like that. That would be kind of cool if they're like multi-part, or if they have like hidden secrets that are uncovered. But obviously, if all my characters died, they would not be able to trigger that event. But once all the clues are gone, you go to you're supposed to be tracking rounds, by the way. So we did 3 rounds there. It says at the end of round 7, night falls, and then there are darkness rules apply. And the darkness rules, I'm trying to remember what they are. You cannot, ranged attacks cannot be done more than 12 inches away. Line of sight can only be drawn to 12 inches, and members of the party treat morale checks as hard. And I wasn't doing morale because I didn't really take enough damage, I don't think, to worry about it. But there are morale rules for your heroes as well. So there you go. I was thinking I was going to play a complete game of this, but I really want to get this up so you guys can check it out. Again, it's called Lasting Tales, and these are the demo rules. Very, very, very limited. I'm hoping the wizards have way more spells in the rulebook. I'm hoping the clerics have a bit more to do other than just a simple heal and, fighting. That's all my cleric could do. I suspect that the heroes can be advanced quite a bit, and there's probably a lot of customization that can be done for these heroes. This was just the demo rules. This document's only like 30 or so pages long, so you definitely, there's a lot missing. I'm going to be very interested in the XP, like, how much XP does it, like for instance, the rats only give, I think, 1 XP. Let's see. The rats give 1 XP. The warrior skeletons give 1 XP. The zombies are 1. The necromancer is 1. So that's pretty low. So I have a sneaky feeling that leveling up these characters is probably going to involve like 5 XP or 10 XP, not 100, but you get to 5 or you get to 10 and you level up, and the leveling up will allow the wizard maybe to get more spells or more hit points or both. I just don't know. There's a lot of questions about this game that the demo rules tease but don't answer. So I'm actually looking forward to this game. I think this will be fun to play solo, but this is one of those games that I think it'd be really fun to play with friends, because each person can control their own character. There's this fantasy RPG feeling to it, even though technically it's a skirmish dice miniature war game. So there you go, Lasting Tales. I do hope you liked this. I will continue to give demos of games that I'm trying out. Normally I'd finish this, but after I get this, could take a long time, especially since I have to keep consulting the rules. So there you go, Lasting Tales. It's by Blacklist Games. The Kickstarter was successful this last year. I don't think the game comes out until early to mid 2022. But I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on it and playing through a campaign, either solo or with some friends. Now keep in mind, this should have been played on a 3x3 mat, so I would have had a little more time before the creatures reached me. So who knows how it would have resolved itself, but definitely something to look out. Check it out, Lasting Tales, and I'll post in the video's comments some links to it, along with some information on when I hear it's going to be released and stuff like that. All right, that's all for today. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me, and everybody, take care.